In this video, I'm going to go over an example of solving multi-step equations. The steps that we're going to follow are on the right side of your screen. So the first thing that we're going to do is draw a vertical line through our equal sign. And then we want to distribute and combine like terms. So distribution, we're looking for parentheses, but then there's sometimes confusion that people think you should distribute this 5, but in reality, right next to our parentheses, if there's no number there, we can put a 1 directly next to the parentheses. So really what you're going to be distributing is this -1. And your +5 is just going to drop down. A lot of people get confused by that, so just make sure that you're aware. Then we're going to distribute and actually multiply -1 times +7, which will give us -7. And then -1 times -4x. So it's going back to that idea that you always keep the sign in front with the value. So -1 times -4 actually gives us +4x. And then -14 drops down on the right. Now we have to also look to see if we can combine like terms. Remember, like terms can either have the same variable or they both do not have a variable. So we're going to combine 5 and -7 on the left-hand side, which will give us -2. And then +4x equals -14 comes down. And then we check and there's no other like terms on either side of the equal sign, so we're done with step 2. Step 3, we check to see if we have variables on both sides, and right now we don't. We only have the variable on the left, so we're done with that step. And now we can read and write the side of the equation starting with the variable, and if you'll notice, we have a 2-step equation. Our variable is x, so if we read it starting with the variable, it would be x times +4 minus 2. Now, as a brief side note, we could rearrange the left side of the equation so that it is 4x minus 2. Just make sure if you rearrange, you keep the signs with the values in front, and then it would be read exactly the same way as we wrote it down at the bottom of the page. Rearranging the equation is not a requirement, but if it helps you to understand how to solve it better, then feel free to do that. Just be careful with the signs. Now if we solve for x, working backwards and using inverse operations, the last thing that we read was -2, so the inverse of subtraction is addition, so we're going to add 2 to both sides. -2 plus 2 is 0. 4x just drops down. And then -14 plus 2 will leave me with -12. So then our next step, going backwards, is times 4. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So we'll divide by 4 on both sides. 4 divided by 4 is 1, which just leaves me with x. And then -12 divided by 4 gives me -3. So then my final answer is x equals -3.